All right, guys, good afternoon. My name's Sandy. This is Sawing with Sandy. If you're brand new here, welcome aboard. What we're doing today is not exactly sawing, although we did do that most recently in order to get this wood into the trailer. This is a good load of wood here, a mixture of balsam fir. I think there's some spruce in here, a little bit of cherry and some birch. We're going to split this today using my old trusty splitter you just saw me pull out of the shed. That splitter has been around the block and come back. You would have seen me using that in a recent video. This thing does have a bit of a leak right around the start of the cylinder there. I haven't got that fixed yet. That is on the to-do list, but we're going to put it into action today. We're going to see how long it takes me to split this. Hopefully not too long. We'll throw the wood after it's split into these IBC cages, which is what I tend to store all my wood with. You guys can see there's some more IBC cages there full of wood, and I've got more down there, and I've got some all over the place. Those IBC cages I source off Marketplace. I just look around from time to time. I come across them. I've been fortunate picking them up for, well, I think the most recent ones I picked up for about $30 Canadian each. Maybe they were 35, can't remember. But anyways, I use those to store my firewood, leave it out here where it's relatively open to dry in the warm months. And with that warm temperature and that sun and that wind, it tends to dry quite well. You'll see me throwing them in. They'll be loose stacked today. I could probably cut a little notch in the IBC cage in order to access my my firewood a little easier. Just not quite there yet. I could also stack the wood in those IBC cages nice and neatly, but I don't really want to take the time to do that. So I'm just loose throwing it and going from there. Anyways, we're going to get underway here. Once this is done, probably not today, but another day, I still got all this wood here on my right that I have to cut up. And the funny thing is, maybe it's not funny, it's a lot of work, but after this is gone, I have probably 3 times as much of this wood out in the bush still that I have to get here in order to cut that into firewood. But I can tell you, even with I think 50 IBC cages floating around here, after I fill these 3 up, I think I only have 2 more and then I'm completely full. I've got wood for days, that's for sure. Anyways, let's get underway here. Make our way back. And one thing I'm noticing just on first look is my old golf cart tire didn't exactly like that last load of firewood. Guess you're living to learn. Ah, well, that's the way it goes, right? This old thing you're going to see operational today, as I started talking about, has a little bit of an issue with the leak. You'll also notice the back I-beam here is bent down a little bit. Don't know if I did that or the previous owner, but I put a good solid piece of hardwood up there, and obviously the beam was less strong than the piece of wood was. Some other things I've done here, you'll notice this custom firewood rack I built on here with some T-posts, and that just allows me to stack the wood and not have to bend down, bend up, bend down, bend up in order to load wood. This old thing, you're going to hear it screaming today. I don't know what type of engine this is. It's some sort of aftermarket engine on this. It's a 6.5. This thing has some issues. It runs good, but it tends to idle really, really high. I'm not going to get into cleaning the carburetor today. That will be on the to-do list as well, but you will hear that screaming today, but it splits well. So that's the main thing. Anyways, less work, or less talk, more work. Let's get down to it. Here we go. gas. guys, well, I think that is all the wood I'm going to split for today. As you can see, we filled up about, I don't know, 1 and maybe a third of an IBC cage. That took me about 45 minutes or so. That wood's going to be burned in my home, and this stuff here, which I originally cut up in the bush and brought it here in the trailer, this is not going to be burned inside. This stuff here, I think I'll just pile it up and leave it for campfire wood, maybe use for maple syrup, but this stuff was a little too far gone, a little too far rotten, and certainly nothing I want to split up to heat in my home. Some of you guys have asked me in the past about heating your home with softwood. Now, first and foremost, I'm not going to give you guys advice on what you should or shouldn't do. This is simply what I do. I heat with softwood as well as hardwood. Now, with that in mind, the softwood I heat with is very, very dry. The fires I have are very, very hot, and I also make sure that my chimney is cleaned out more than once a year. In any case, I've found that as long as you burn the wood hot, as long as it's well dry, you don't have any more creosote buildup than you would with hardwood. I'm sure there's some scientific evidence out there to suggest that maybe there's a little bit more, but in my experience, I don't notice it. And certainly with having good, hot, dry fires and cleaning the chimney more than once a year, I don't find any issue. But that's just me. You guys obviously would do what you like. In a perfect world, I'd have endless supply of hardwood because hardwood has a higher BTU value, but that's not necessarily the case for me. At least I'm not going around cutting down my hardwoods for that purpose. Anyways, I think it's been a good day out. I put a bit of sweat on the brow. I drank a little bit of coffee. All my equipment lasted. My ram over there on my splitter is still leaking. That's going to be another project, as I mentioned. But for the most part, that thing is faster than I could hand split this, and certainly a heck of a lot less work. My old 435 here, you guys don't get to see too often. This is my limbing saw, as I would call it. I don't bring this out often, as I said, but I do bring it out from time to time when my other saw is in the shop. Now, my other saw, my 555 Husky, it's in the shop because I just need to clean it out. I need to sharpen it. I just want to check things over. It's not broken by any means. So that's going to do it for me here today. Make sure you come on back next time. I will surely be up to something, whether that's out in the tractor, whether that's winching some more logs up, or whether that's splitting some more wood. I'll be up to something. Glad you guys all came out. See you guys all next time. Oh yeah, don't forget,